I have so many questions for you, and I don't even know where to start. So maybe I'll start with this. Like, your work has inspired such an awareness within me about the possibilities of where um, human evolution can go. And I remember an interview that you did with what was his name? Joe Rogan, a long time ago on his podcast,
Long
way
time
back when
ago.
he was getting started. And I
Yeah.
remember you talking about like human evolution and using the biology of belief to help facilitate like greater levels of technology and integration with society and higher levels. But I'm wondering if you've explored any of the um, like the human evolution in the sense of like X-Men. You know what I mean? Like there's all this talk about like telepathy and telekinesis and other things like that. Like, is that a subject that you've explored at all as something that could be possible locked within our
Oh,
DNA?
absolutely. And that's the most surprising thing is the limitation on what we can do is only the belief system. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't do that. It's like, okay, you can't do it. You know, that Henry Ford, famous quote, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that sums it up in one phrase. It's whatever that thought is. And it's interesting because the Buddha 2,500 years ago said, what we think we become. I go, 2,500 years ago, these people, had a complete understanding. We lost it because we wanted, to take it all apart to see how it works. But the problem is when you take it apart, you lose the big picture. And so everybody focused on a little picture, So in science, we focus on the gene. It's like when my research started to reveal after teaching people the genes control life, that was what I was teaching, conventional. My research revealed that was completely wrong, that life was controlling the genes. And this was like, wow, it's so profoundly different that because what most people have been programmed with is a limitation. My life is controlled by my genes. Jesus, it's like, oh, there are cancer genes running in the family. So Angelina Jolie, a very healthy young woman, has a double mastectomy. She's a young woman, double mastectomy. Why? Because her mother died of breast cancer and her grandmother died of breast cancer. And I say, so what was the consequence? The conventional belief that genes cause this cancer. She has the gene, she's going to get the cancer. And this is a conventional belief. I say, what does conventional belief really do for us? And I say, the first thing is this. We're given an understanding that genes control the character of our life, not just physical, but behavior, emotion, and all that. And then I go, okay, let's now review this for a second. So it controls our life. Did you pick the genes you came with? Well, not that I know. Can you change the genes if you don't like the character? Like, no, you can't do that. And then I add on top of that, and guess what? Genes turn on and off by themselves. And all of a sudden, you say, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of my heredity. I didn't pick the damn thing, but they're going to turn on and off. I'm going to walk down the street and it's going to give me cancer one day. It's like, I'm a victim. Well, victim means powerless. And powerless means who can fix me and how much will it cost? That's a problem. And then you find somebody who's going to fix you and you give them all this money and actually things get worse. It's a fact of science. So I'm not just saying this, it's a fact of science published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, published in the British Medical Journal. The same story is medicine, allopathic conventional medicine, is the third leading cause of death in the United States. And you have to stop and go, wait a minute, the health profession is the third leading cause of death? Maybe something's wrong. It's like, well, yeah, there is something wrong because we've given up to this belief that genes control life. When it turns out, simple fact, a gene is a blueprint to make the body parts, proteins, that we're a protein mechanism. We have about 100,000 different proteins. It's like a Lego kit of proteins, 100,000 different proteins. You can assemble some this way and make a muscle cell, or you can take some of those proteins and mix them this way and make a nerve cell, So you create from this toolbox. But the relevance is the gene is just a blueprint. I go, so why is it relevant? I said, well, you go into an architect's office and she's working on a blueprint. You lean over her shoulder and you go, hey, is your blueprint on or off? She looked at me, what are you, crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. I go, precisely. That's what my research revealed, is that the blueprints are read in response to how an organism responds to the environment. And then all of a sudden you start to see, oh my God, but if I change how I respond to the environment, then I change my genetic readout. And I go, yes. And all of a sudden I said, wait, then I'm controlling my genes. Yes. And all of a sudden we went from victim of genetics. Genetic means genetic control. This character is under the control of genes, genetic control. That's what everybody learned. That's what I taught. But my research, the cells taught me, a new science that's now referred to as epigenetic control. Mm-hmm. And it almost sounds the same. Genetic control, epigenetic control almost sounds the same, but it's like a total revolution. Why? Epi means above. Like skin is called epidermis because underneath there's another layer, dermis, epi above dermis. Epigenetic control, translation, control above the genes. All of a sudden, control's not in the genes. I go, no. Control is in the response you have to the world, interpreting the environment, and then adjusting your genes. And then all of a sudden it says, well, then if I change how I respond to the environment, I change my genetics. And I go, yeah. And all of a sudden I go, why is that relevant? Because then you are a master of your biology, which is to come 180 degrees away. Conventional understanding, world, most people, genes control my life. New science, epigenetics, I control my genes. And that's where power comes into the game.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really loved how, like, after I understood the concepts that you were talking about, I started to look at the world from what it just felt like this kind of higher perspective, but seeing all of the layers where it's like on a personal individual level, like what people are focused on and what they're believing about their lives and the way that society has programmed them growing up is like influencing and steering, you know, the kind of life that they have. But then there's this sort of collective social framework of beliefs that are, you know, the mechanism by which we are steering ourselves as a species. And it's like, who is the one who's controlling or coming up with those core beliefs, right? They're like embedded in the fabric of society and then steered by all manner of like the voices from whether it's government, media, you know, the social network stuff that people are scrolling along.
Listen,
like, it's everywhere.
It started 400 years ago. That's a long time ago.
It's a while back.
The Jesuits told their followers, give me a child until it is 7, I will show you the man. That's a standard phrase from the church. Mm-hmm. You know, what are they saying? Give me a child for 7 years, I program it. And the program that I put in the first 7 years will manifest 95% of their life. So they knew that whoever does the programming for the first 7 years owns the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. I go, well, that was smart 400 years ago. It's like, just people just forget about this? Are you kidding me? Forget about it. They're so much better at programming kids today than ever before. An infant is walking around, can barely walk, carrying an iPad. It's like, okay, there's some programming going on in this picture right here. And the idea is, well, once people knew this, then of course there were smarter people that said, well, if I create the program, then I control the outcome. It's like, yeah. And then here we are, people over the centuries directing how we should think and be programmed, have taken us away from our individuality and gave us a behavior. They gave us this behavior, we downloaded it, and then we became whatever they said, just like the Jesuits knew. If I have one and a half minutes here, I'll expand on it real quickly.
You have the entire time. Yeah, please. I love listening to you.
Well, the most important insight is this: the brain is a computer. Yeah, we know it's a computer. It's an information processor. Most fabulous of all information processors, as we know, people in this universe, that brain. I go, but the brain is the equivalent of a computer. I go, from a biological point of view, mechanism, it is. I go, so what? And I go, you go to the store, you buy a brand new computer, you take it home, you push start, and it boots up, the screen lights up. And I go, okay, now do something, write an essay, make a spreadsheet, do a drawing. You go, I can't do it. I say, why not? I didn't put programs in. So I buy the new computer, then I have to put the programs in. And then once the programs are in, then I can, work with the program. So I go, a child is born in the last trimester of its pregnancy before being born. The computer has an operating system. Yep. Baby's brain lights up, screen lights up, everything's good. And I go, now, what can the baby do? And I say, nothing. Why not? Just like I bought the new computer, I didn't put a program in it, I can't use it. So I say, oh, the first phase after the thing boots up is now download programs so that once the program's in there, and we can use these programs. So I say, nature designed the first 7 years of your life. No coincidence with the Jesuits, they knew it. The first 7 years of your life, your brain is not operating at the level of consciousness. A child's brain is operating at theta. That's below consciousness. So they're not self-aware. They're just existing. But theta is imagination by character. So a kid's riding a broom and thinks it's a horse. The mother says, give me the broom. That child's mind in theta, that is no longer a broom. That is a real horse. Or they have a tea party and they pour nothing into the cup. They drink nothing and say, that was the most fabulous tea I ever had. I say, this is theta mixing the real world and the imaginary world together. Mm-hmm. But theta is hypnosis. So I say, why is it relevant? Because during the first 7 years of a child's life, a child gets a program of how to be a member of a family. There are a million rules here, man. How to be a member of a family, behavior. How to be a member of a community, behavior. Okay? How to manage your life. And I go, well, an infant has to learn this right away. I go, well, you can't give it a book. Here's a 2-year-old, read this 500-page book about programs. It's like, no. The nature system created the first 7 years. The primary brain activity is theta, the imagination, but theta is hypnosis. So I say, so what? You get your fundamental programs to operate this brain computer, not through your wishes and desires. You got it because in theta, you watch your mother, your father, your community, and you download it by like a video recorder. That behavior. So I say, then the fundamental programs that came into your brain computer, the programs, didn't come from you. They came from observing other people. And that's how you learn the cultural norms and the behaviors to fit into a family, fit into a civilization. So the first 7 years, the brain is not operating at the level of consciousness. It's operating at the level of download programs. Once those programs are in, then the conscious mind can work with those programs, and you can manage a program and change things and do everything you want with consciousness. That's what consciousness does. Subconscious is program. That's where the programs came in. And I go, so why is it relevant? I say, well, the fundamental programs that we get to operate our lives with didn't come from our wishes and desires, what we wanted. It came from observing those people. And it turns out 70% of the programs that we download are personally disempowering and self-sabotaging and limiting beliefs. So all of a sudden I say, then what happened? You immediately compromise your ability. 70% of your ability has just been compromised because of beliefs that you got from other people, not from you, come from other people. And when you reach age 7, then you can interact with these beliefs. I said, you can create what you want when you're interacting. And then the next and most important step now is this. The conscious mind has somebody in it, you, your spirit, your personal identity, an energy field. It's not physical. You are receiving a broadcast. So I like to refer this body as my television set, and I'm playing the Bruce show right now, which is picked up by my antennas on my cells. And the relevance about all that is that who we are is the conscious mind, which has creative ability. With my consciousness, I can get on a computer and create anything I want. Conscious mind, creative. But subconscious mind, just program. Just push the button, behavior starts. And everyone used to think, well, that's an evil place. I go, well, not really. It could have some bad programs in it. That would not be good, but it has very positive programs in it. Look, for example, when did we learn how to walk? Jordan, you learned how to walk before you were 2. And I go, do you ever have to relearn how to walk? You could be 102, still use the same program you learned when you were 2, because that became a habit. And they're good habits, things that we need to get through the day every day with. But then there are limiting habits. Well, one of the limitations, as a medical professor, school professor, I have to say something, and that is this. You've been disempowered because in the average family, when someone is not feeling well, we go to the doctor. I go, mommy's not well, she goes to the doctor. Dad's not well, he goes to the doctor. I'm not well, I go to the doctor. Program, that's a program. I said, what was the meaning of that program? And here it is. Life and health is not under your control. It's under the control of the professional guy who can tell you. So you give up what? Power over your biology by listening to the words of the professional, who then tells you about your life. And guess what? The function of the mind is to take those words as truth and manifest it. So a prognosis, for example, oh my God, because a person goes in, they have an issue, and the doctor says, well, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. That's your future. And I go, then guess what? Input, program from professional. My words are, I'm not a professional. That's a professional. And therefore, whatever those words are, my mind is going to manifest. And all of a sudden I said, then I had no power. I go, absolutely. Why? You gave up your power to buy the belief of a professional who it's not operating that well. Let's put it that way. Conventional medicine, and this is not out of school. This is the foundation in the Journal of American Medical Association, British Medical Journal, is that medicine is the 3rd leading cause of death. And I go, oh, you want to buy your truth and advice from something that is the 3rd leading cause of death? I said, ooh, that might be a mistake at that point. And basically, it says that we've been programmed. Example just there is some of those things. We give up our power to the professionals, and then we buy their story, it becomes our life. And then you left your life out because I'm buying other people's stories. And I say, holy crap, we're not leading our life. We're leading the life of programs that other people had put into place. And we follow them because we want to be a member of the society. We want to be a member of the family. And those are the programs. And we conform and become programmed to live other people's visions of life. And most of their visions are 70% disempowering. And I go, so why is it relevant? And I go, the one thing that you emphasize so well in the animation of the science is that if you understand this, then you could take back the power to control your life and not buy into other people's opinions. And then all of a sudden you can start to say, what is it you want in your life? Not what they told me I can have, but what I want. And that's, I always tell people, that's the story of The Matrix. The movie The Matrix is, hey, we've all been programmed. Like, that's 100% sure. I mean, that's been known for 400 years. The Jesuits have told us that we're going to program your first 7 years and then we own you the rest of the life. And so, yeah, we're all in the Matrix. But the beautiful part, just a wake up call of the Matrix, is in the movie, they say there's a red pill and a blue pill. You take the blue pill and you wake up and you're in the same old world. But if you take the red pill, you get out of the program. And I love it because the fact is this: when people fall deeply in love, it's the same as the red pill. Science has recognized that we don't play the programs when we are in love like that. In the beginning, we stay what is called mindful. We stop thinking and we start creating with our wishes. And I say, your life could be blah, 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 blah. You fall in love. 24 hours later, it's like, hey, man, life is so beautiful. I love everything, even a crummy job. That's not so bad. I love things. I go, your life was blah, blah, blah. And in 24 hours, your life is heaven on earth. So what? How did that happen?
Yeah.
And now we know from a scientific point of view, you stopped playing the programs and you started creating with your conscious wishes and desires. And once you started creating with that, you manifested what you wanted. And that was heaven on earth. But then you lose it. I go, it was so wonderful. How come I lost it? it was so beautiful and juicy when we started sharing that love. And now it's like, it's life. I go, what happened? And the answer is the programs start coming back into our life. We stopped them, red pill, fall in love, created now wishes and desires, manifested heaven. But as we start thinking, that's when the programs take over. And 95% of our day is thinking. And as a result, then we don't become who we want to be and wish to be. We become whatever the program said we were. And most of those programs are negative. So we struggle. Life is a struggle. I go, why? Is the universe against me? I go, no, it's our own program of limitation. And that when we change those programs, we have freedom, we have empowerment. You can create what you want. And the idea about that is, this is the way life has always been, except nobody was outside of the Jesuits. Nobody else were telling you they were programming you. But programming is empowerment. And those that know how to do programming control the power. And this is a wake-up call.
Thank you also for everything that you just shared. I'm really curious to ask then, sort of a follow-up is, you have a sequel book, right, called The Honeymoon Effect. And I'm pretty certain I actually haven't gone into that one nearly as much as I've gone through biology, I believe, how many times. But regarding the honeymoon effect, is that what that's really all about? Is like that falling in love and then staying there?
The basic idea is, hey, the honeymoon effect, people experience it. So that's right away why it was put that way. It's like most of the people at some point in their life fell in love. And as I said in the book, it didn't have to be fall in love with a person, which predominantly it is. You could fall in love with being an artist, a gardener, a chef. I love what I'm doing. I'm creating. And I go, well, look at that. You're creating. Gardener, I'm creating. Artist, I'm creating, and all of a sudden, it's, oh, you were creating. And it worked. And the biggest one for most people, I said, is just falling in love, because it's dramatic how 24 hours after falling in love, you got a different life right away. Okay. So I use that as an example to say, well, what was it that allowed me to leave behind the program and jump into my creative mode? And the answer turned out the two minds, not the mind, that's where the big problem comes, the mind, like there's a single mind. I know there's two minds. Each has a different function and each learns in a different way. And without that knowledge, people are lost. My mind did this. You don't know which mind you're talking about. Is it the creative mind or the program mind? What do you mean? There's two of them. I go, yeah. And without that knowledge, it's invisible. You have no idea what the hell's going on. And the simple reality is this. The conscious mind is creative. Wishes, desires, aspirations, whatever you want. I say, Jordan, tell me, man, what you want out of life. And then you start telling me, I want this and I want that. And I say, that's creative wishes and desires. I go, yeah. And I say, that's the role of the conscious mind. First, imagine what the vision is and then manifest the vision. That's creativity, okay? But the issue about this is the conscious mind, not only being just creative, is also the same mind that is used to think. And I go, so what the hell's the difference? I go, when I'm creative, I'm looking out at the world and saying, this is what I want my world to be. But when I'm thinking, I'm going in. Thinking is in. Creativity is going out. Thinking is hey, Jordan, what are you doing on Thursday? And it may not be written in front of you, but if you stop for a moment, you'll go in your head and you go, oh, Thursday. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this. And I say, wait a minute. At the moment you had to think, you went into your head. That's where thoughts are. I go, so why is it relevant? I said, then you stop paying attention to what was going on outside. Because the moment you're thinking, consciousness is not looking out, consciousness is looking in. I said, well, this could be dangerous. I mean, what if I'm in the car driving and all of a sudden I start thinking and my consciousness is not looking out the window anymore? I go, it seemed to be okay when you were thinking and still driving. I said, how'd that happen? Subconscious, which is the program of how to drive, knows how to drive. Of course, it is the program. Subconscious is autopilot, meaning if I'm not paying attention to something, the job of the subconscious is to manage it for me. It pays attention to everything. But my conscious has a focus. I could focus on this. I could focus on that. Subconscious sees everything at once. Okay. So you can safely drive your car and not think about it, about the drive. You don't have to pay any attention. Thinking, as I say, I give example. I say, you know how to drive. You've been driving. You're in a car, a passenger's in the car. You're going off of some destination. You get involved in a conversation. There's this point where you're so involved in a conversation. And then at some point you look out the window, and you being the driver, look out the window and think to yourself, wow, I haven't paid attention to the road for 5 minutes. I was talking. And I go, now let's look at it from this perspective. Tell me what you were talking about when you were driving the car. And you go, oh, we talked about this and this and this and this. And I go, tell me what was on the road when you were having that conversation. I don't remember. I don't know. I go, what's the relevance of that? And the answer is conscious mind focused on conversation, understood, can participate in all that. You let go of driving the car because you're in conversation. And I say, then what happened? I said, you're still driving. And you apparently are still in the speed limit. You're in the right lane. You haven't killed anybody or anything. You're driving just normal. I go, you can't tell me what was on the road. You had no attention paid to that. But somebody paid attention or something. It's actually subconscious. It's a million times more powerful a processor than the conscious mind in the first place. It's much more active. And so I say, why is it relevant? When you weren't paying attention, the behavior that was going on, you didn't see it. I go, so what the hell does that mean? And here's a story, Jordan, you read it, and it's repeated several times, same story. So for our wonderful new audience out there, for me, new audience, not for you, but for me, there's a story I've been saying for 30 years, and I always start off, I say, it's the same damn story for 30 years because I haven't found a better one, but I'll use it. And that story is this, you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you know your friend's parent. One day you see your friend has the exact same behavior as their parent. So you feel like, I got to tell my friends. You go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And I say, back away from Bill. Why? The moment you say that, what do you think Bill's going to say? How can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And everyone laughs because they've all had that experience. I say, so there's a meaning here. I said, there's a very profound meaning. I said, what is it? Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. Who's the one that doesn't see it? Bill. I say, how come Bill doesn't see it? I say, why was he playing his dad's behavior? And the answer was because his conscious mind wasn't paying attention. And therefore, the program that he got in the first 7 years by observing his father became the autopilot and was running Bill's life. But he was running it in the behavior that he learned from his father. Does Bill see it? No, Bill's thinking. Bill's off somewhere else. It's automatic behavior. And therefore, everybody else can see the behavior. Bill's the only one that can't see it. And I go, now the next part of that is this. We are all Bill. Every day, we are thinking 95% of the day, which redirects consciousness and allows subconscious autopilot to step in and drive us, whether it's driving the car, whether it's doing the job that you do, whether it's even talking to somebody else. It's all automated at this point. It's a program. But if the program is not good and it's causing you a problem, just like Bill, the question is, did you see that program? No, I didn't see it. Why? Because I was thinking and the behavior came out automatically. Other people saw it. And I say, you have a bad program, then during the day, 95% of the day, you are manifesting a bad program and you're the only one who doesn't see it. I say, so what's the result? Is a collective result. When I come home from work, after starting off the morning with a conscious wish, today's the day I'm going to be great. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to find a relationship. I'm going to be wealthy, whatever the hell you want. I'm going forward. And then you come home at 5 o'clock and it didn't work. And you go, man, what happened? All day long, I know I wanted to be successful and it didn't work. And the common consequence is that individual then looks out and says, damn it, the universe is against me. I wanted this. It never showed up. And therefore the universe, I'm a victim of this, I'm a victim of that. And I go, wow, because now we stand back and say, well, 95% of the day you were playing behaviors that sabotage you. You didn't see it. All you saw was the result. And therefore I'm a victim. And I go, no, you're a creator. Mm-hmm. And you have to own, I create the good, but I can't let go of the fact that I'm also creating the bad. And if I own that, then I have power because I can change that. But if I say I'm a victim of that, I've given up power. That's what victim means. Hey, stuff happened to me. Right. It's like, no, it didn't happen to you. You manifested it. And that's hard because you tell somebody that and they go, I wouldn't do that. And I go, not in your conscious mind, but your program mind would do that. Mm-hmm. And the whole honeymoon effect book is to bring up the recognition of things we just talked about. This is all kinds of programming. It's not that really good. But the most important part is, well, you can reprogram. And that's where, oh my God, I can change the character of my life by changing the program. And then comes the harder part for a moment, and that is, well, when did I get programmed? I said, you were being programmed before you were born, last trimester of pregnancy. I say, you were being programmed from 0 to 1, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, and on. But I ask you, tell me about the program you got. And you go, well, I say, what program did you get when you were 0? Huh? How do I know what a program was? Okay, when you were 1, huh? I don't know what the programs are. So the first problem we have is this. A, you've been programmed, and B, you don't even know what the hell the programs are because most of them went in before you even aware. So our little helpful moment right here, Jordan, here's a helpful moment. What is my program? 95% of your life comes from that program. So your life is a printout of your program. I go, what does that mean? I say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life, they come in because you have programmed to acknowledge them, to bring them in. But, big but, the things you want and desire, but you have to work hard, struggle over, sweat over it, I'm putting a lot of effort, man. I'm making it, I'm working, I'm making it. Why are you working so hard? And the answer is inevitably a simple understanding. Whatever that destination is, it's not supported by your program. You're not fighting the universe. You're struggling against your own program. So if you see where the struggle is in your world, turn it around and recognize that struggle is built in as a program. Yeah. And I'm just playing out this program. And since the program operates 95% of the day and your personal control wishes and desires operate 5% of the day, the mathematics says, guess what? You're not creating the life you want. You're creating the life you've been programmed to create. And if you change the program, empowerment, new life. And your video goes deep into that. That's what's so great about it. I love what you did. And it gives people, words are meaningful. Visuals are, you know, what do they say? A picture is worth 1,000 words or more now in an animation. Every frame, then you multiply it and it's like it's worth a million words. And so when you've animated what the words were, it emphasizes the message. And that's why I was so honored that you put together that program on the nature of this biology of belief, because the most important message anybody can receive today is you are not a victim. You are a master. You're a creator if you know it. If you don't know that, then you're a program. And we're in the matrix.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you've really spelled out the dichotomy, the struggle of like not just you, everyone. We all have these programs that we've been programmed with that we're not even aware are there, and those subconscious programs are steering our lives. That we manifest things that are uncomfortable, and then when you say, "Well, you did that," it's like you are the creator of your reality. People are offended. How could you possibly suggest that I was the reason that I got into a car accident when whatever it was? Yeah. And how have you found to communicate this message when people have a difficult time with that sort of like
That is,
deep responsibility for
okay.
their vibration?
Let me give a story about this, okay?
Okay.
Let's say you don't know how to drive standard shift car, okay? And you're visiting me, and I say, "Oh, hey Jordan, why don't you go down to the store and pick up something?" I say, "Just take my car." You get in a car in a standard shift. You say, "Yeah." I just say, "Just take the car and go. I'm busy. I gotta go." You try to drive my standard shift car, and you're in town, and you call me up and you say, "It's broken. I don't know why. It's broken. The clutch. I have no idea what the hell happened here or anything." Point. Can I yell at you and say, "Jordan, what? Damn, how stupid, you ruined my car"? Can I say that legally, legitimately? No. Why? You didn't know how to drive the car? I didn't tell you how to drive the car. And then you drove the car. The car broke. Is it your fault? And I go, no. Why? Without knowledge, how can I blame you? You can't be blamed. Okay, so then when I now turn the story around, I'm now presenting biology of belief. I'm saying we're powerful creators, but you have a program you didn't know you were creating. You created a cancer. That's a creation, okay? There is no cancer gene. That's a fact. It's correlated with life that's not in harmony. Your life was not in harmony. It manifested cancer. And then when I tell people, well, you're responsible for your life, and they look at me and go, I wouldn't create that cancer. And I go, you didn't create that cancer. You were programmed without knowing it. You had no awareness of what the hell you were doing. Why? No one told you. You have no consciousness. It's just like you didn't know how to drive stick. It's like, yeah, well, then you can't be blamed if I say drive the damn car. And so the point about this, blame, shame, guilt, victim, to use those words, you have to have some kind of foreknowledge before you did something and say, now I can blame you because you knew it the right way. You did it the wrong way. I'm going to blame you. Yeah, but if I say, if you didn't know it and then it goes wrong, how the hell can I blame you? You didn't even have any knowledge of it. So my answer to the question is this. When people start to balk at the point that says, when I tell them you are a creator, and as you brought up, they don't want to own what the hell happened. I said, well, you don't have to own it. You had no knowledge. If you have no knowledge, how can I blame you for it? How can you be a victim of this if you didn't know you were being a victim? So then here's the point. Whatever happened before this minute, that's history. You can learn from it. But whatever happens after this minute, that's future. That's creation. And if you understand it, then the next number of minutes is going to be a hell of a lot better life than the previous minutes that you just played the program. So the idea is we must let go of history. I love this. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a religion. I'm a spirit guy. Okay. Okay. But one of the most important sayings that came from supposedly from Jesus, the last thing he was saying, perhaps the most important thing if we could ever talk about right now. He said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. I go, look at this and everyone in your life, everyone. Why? They've been programmed just like you were programmed. They have no idea that they're playing the damn program. They irritate the hell out of you. You get mad at them. And I go, don't blame them. That's their program. Them, the spirit, who they are, that's not the program. I could be upset with their behavior, but who they are, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. I can't blame them either. And all of a sudden I go, that's exactly the most important quote. Forgive them. They know not what they do. Go back over your life. Look at all the crap that came down and rained down on you. And you can say, this person did this and that person did that. And I go, forgive them. They know not what they did. They didn't. They were playing out a program just like you are playing out a program. But their program beat you. Now you're mad at them when they didn't even know they were playing a program in the first place. So it's the wake-up call. And this is why the animation that you created took the words and put it into a better context to say, this is the creation you are making. If you own that creation, then you have personal responsibility to change that creation. I can. But if I didn't even know I was involved in creating this, then I take on the role of victim, which in my consciousness means I have no power over this. This happened to me. I go, no. But it doesn't have to happen to you from now into the future. If it happened to you in the past, you can learn, because you can change the program and move into the future with a different way of life. And that's what the honeymoon effect is if I understood what created the honeymoon, then I can go back and reprogram my subconscious to put honeymoon programs in there instead of whatever ones that caused all the problems to get me to this point.
Yeah.
And then once I have honeymoon programs in there, and I say, what does that mean? I say, your life is an expression of your programs. If your programs suck, your life sucks at this moment. But I say, well, what happens if I put programs in there that match my wishes and match my desires? I go, cool. 5% of the time when you're running from that mind, you're going to make your wishes and your desires. But now 95% of the time when you were thinking and the program is running, guess what? It's going to make your wishes and desires. I go, you could have the honeymoon 24/7, 365. Yep. And guess what? 95% of the day, you don't even have to think about it. The mind will automatically manifest what you wanted without you putting an effort into manifesting it, because your life today is a manifestation of your programs. You're not putting any effort into it, and the programs are unfolding. Yeah, but what if you change the program? It's like, new life, new life. And that is exactly the destination and the whole purpose of all this, because we are better than our programs. And when humans become humane, there's an evolution facing this planet. And it's a wake-up call. That's what's going on in the world right now, all this upheaval that's going on. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It is a consequence of we are not sustainable with the programs that we have been given. That to move forward, the old programs which have caused all this problem that we're seeing, whether it's social, economic, political, religious, racial, we're creating those. If we change that program, then we can move into the future with a completely different way of life. And I go, this is what nature is giving us a warning. Mm-hmm. A warning is like the last warning, because you get a little hint and you get a little hint. And if you don't pay any attention, then the message gets a little louder each time. And we have not paid attention that the way we have been programmed to live on this planet, we are undermining the web of life. We're undermining nature, and we're facing an extinction. And it's like, is nature undermining itself? Are we just, victims in a world going extinct? I go, no. Science has recognized that human behavior as programmed is manifesting the extinction that we're now experiencing, which basically says if we don't want to go extinct, then the most fundamental things humans have to do today, change the program. And that's what we're here for. There are aids. Your animation, to me, when I saw it, I was like, oh, man, that saves me a lot of lecture time. People watch this video.
Play the video.
Watch this video. I don't have to say it. It's in the video. And I love it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you have complete, authority and permission to use that video however you want to. Please. It's an honor. So this is very interesting because, again, my path and my journey and experiences that I've had, including some profound ayahuasca experiences. Are you familiar with? Yeah. A lot of the things that I've experienced, this really felt like I've been put on this path or kind of co-creating this path with spirit science with everyone who's coming along, of discussing and holding a space for what, it's like what mysteries, what magic we might be able to uncover within us, right? And I mean specifically on super normal abilities. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake has been pioneering, the science of telepathy and doing scientific experiments that demonstrate telepathy. And you go back, several thousand years, and we have these ancient writings and Hermetic texts and everything that talk about, the human beings becoming these, just going through the ascension process, right? Jesus said the same thing. He died and resurrected, became a body of light, went into heaven and said, everything I can do, you can do too.
That's the point that They don't follow that up, do they? They
Right.
can say that. Yes, I can read that out of the script. Everything that he could do, we could do even better than he did.
Right.
Okay, next. It's like,
Walking
what do
on
you mean
water.
next?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, it's like in the mainstream world, it seems like there's a lot of push, and like that collective belief is moving in the direction of like integration with technology, and a lot of these different maybe the revelation of meeting other extraterrestrials and all of this kind of stuff. But there's very little conversation about like what it would take for humans to biologically evolve, like for like is it true that, or is it possible for a human to actually walk on water, and then what level of belief or ascension level experience would be required to get to that level. And I'm wondering if
Yeah.
you've put any thought into anything like this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something, this is why I wrote the book, The Biology of Belief, which is understanding how an individual controls their biology, controls their genetics, and consequently their behavior. And when I started writing that, there was a point about midway into where I started thinking, but wait, if this is how you create an individual, if you mass market that program, you've created a civilization, a
Mm,
whole society based on a belief that is common to all of us, or most of us, the larger majority. And all of a sudden I say, well, what is a civilization? It's biology belief in a group and the programming that we get. And so when I went over civilization, the history, because there are civilizations that have come and gone. We always, oh, the Roman civilization, yeah, it was here and it's gone. Okay. The British Empire, that was here. It's on its way out. The US Empire, that's on its way out. These are things that are changing globally. Okay. And I said, well, what is it that controls a civilization? And the answer is beliefs. About what? And here it is. 3 fundamental questions that humans have asked for 10,000 years, the same question. So they call them the perennial questions. I said, what are they? How did I get here? Why am I here? How do I make the best of it now that I'm here? I say those 3 questions have been asked for 10,000. I say, so Bill, that's nice, but here's the point that people didn't get. If you accept the answers for those questions from a source, that source then becomes the truth provider. If they answered those 3 questions, they're going to answer all your questions at that point because that's what we bought. So I say when the answers to those 3 questions change from a different source, we let go of the old one and then buy the new ones. But when you buy the new ones, that's a new behavior. That's a new civilization. And so civilization has come and gone based on these beliefs, okay? The previous civilization was called monotheism. That's when the church ran it. I go, what'd they do? They answer the questions. How did we get here? Divine intervention. Why are we here? To live out plays of morality, to see what? If we're worthy of going to heaven after our trial. And how do you make the best of it? Oh, we got rules. It's called the Bible. That's the rules, okay? And when people bought that, then the church was the source of knowledge. And if you wanted to know something in those days when the church was running it, I always love it because you go see the guy wearing the black coat, the priest. After Charles Darwin came in, people started to recognize that the Genesis story in the Bible didn't really seem to account for what they saw in reality. Evolution and breeding and heredity and genetics, and they let go of that. The answers to the question no longer worked anymore for the church. But now science gave answers. Oh, we got here from genetic alterations. Why are we here? Oh, they were just accidents, so there's no real purpose. Well, how do you make the best of it? Darwinian theory: struggle, fight, competition, survival of the fittest. I said, whoa. That's a crap, that's a whole bad scheme right there. But I say, look at the world. It's all based on competition and all that. Okay. So we bought into it. And then I say, yeah, now when you want to get a truth answered, who do you go to? And I say, not the guy in the black coat. Today we go to the guy in the white coat. I love it. The black coat was the church, the white coat is science. So,
That's so
wow,
funny.
that's clear. And then I say, but now guess what? The answers have changed. We didn't get here by accidental mutations. We got here through adaptation. Why are we here? Because every organism that was introduced into nature supported the garden. I said, what do you mean? A garden is not a battleground. A garden is not competition. The garden is cooperation. I go, and we come into the garden and we exploit competition. I go, that destroys the garden. It's not based on competition. That we are now moving out of that belief because the new understanding is we came here to support each other and the garden. And we've destroyed the garden because our behavior said we could do whatever the hell we want. It's like, no, it's not going to work anymore. We need to move in to take care of the garden because we are elements of the garden. If the garden goes down, so do we. And that's what people have to learn. So a whole new belief system has come in quantum physics and spirituality, which is an energy field, which is quantum physics, is now coming back into the forefront. And we're coming into a spiritual realm. You know, it's interesting because difference between quantum physics and the one that all of us have learned in our schooling, what's called Newtonian physics. I go, what's the difference? I say, Newtonian physics, the universe is made out of two parts, physical stuff, energy stuff. But in Newtonian physics, we don't talk about energy because physical affects physical. You got a body, you want to change it, give it some chemistry, drugs, things. So they separated matter and energy. Quantum physics came in and said, that duality, it's unity. Whatever you think is made out of matter is actually an interesting form of energy. Everything is energy. And we call the energy around us, wherever you're sitting right now, Jordan, where I'm sitting, television broadcast, radio broadcast, cell phone broadcasts are coming through, solar energy influences it's a field, they call that, an energy. I said, what's an energy field? And here's the definition, physics. The field is invisible moving forces that influence the physical world, a field. You sprinkle iron filings, little bits of iron on a piece of paper, and they randomly fall all over the place. You put a magnet, which has a field, and you sprinkle the iron filings. Now, they're not random. They form the pattern of the magnetic field, very precise, beautiful pattern. I go, when there was no field generator, the particles were random. But when there was a field, the particles had shape. So it's the field that gives shape. Okay. So I say, what's the field? Invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. And I go, oh, what's the definition of spirit? Invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. I say, oh my God, quantum physics is putting the terminology of spirituality in the context of science. Spirituality is a field. And the relevance about that, it follows the principles of quantum physics, not the old story of Newtonian physics, which were limitation stories. The field is creative. We are creating our lives. We are creators. If you believe you've been programmed by genes or whatever the hell it was, then you give up the power of that creation. And the story that you've been emphasizing through your process and through the series of videos that you have created is exactly the story of take your spirituality field power back, because that's where creation comes from. If you give your power of creation to others, then they become your creator. And in civilization, we have given our power to others. First, whatever the church said, we will follow that. And now they control my life. Now, today we got whatever science says, they control my life. So then we control, we're controlled by them. And the whole story is this: let go of this. You were the creator in the first place, but you didn't know it. And if you didn't know it, you gave it up, but you're not responsible for history. You're responsible for future. So the moment you start to recognize, wait, I am the creator, now the responsibility is, well, then create something better than what you just did, because that was somebody else's version. And now you have an opportunity to create your own. And then when people recognize this, this is then where I say, well, look, the honeymoon was the experience of heaven on earth. I go, yeah, but what if every day everybody expressed the equivalent of the honeymoon? Oh, heaven on earth becomes heaven. And this is the part that woke me up as a non-spiritual person when I started to recognize I'm a field. I thought, isn't it funny? How come I have a body, but I'm also a spirit? Because the spirit is an energy field and the body is the physical expression or manifestation of that field. I said to myself, the moment I saw that the field was who I was, not the body. And all of a sudden, but the field is invisible broadcast. And this is my little television. I'm receiving my broadcast, and I asked myself, serious question, science guy. If I'm a spirit, then why do I have a body? Why not just be a spirit? 50 trillion cells inside my body. I think they're Jewish comedian cells, because I asked that question and the answer welled up from 50 trillion cells. I could feel the answer came up into my head, and the answer was in the form of a question. That's why I call them Jewish funny cells, because I asked a question, why have both? And the source that came up with that asked me a question. And the question was this: Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? That's a deep one. You have to think about that for a second. And I started to realize something. You know what it is?
What?
What does love feel like? There's an energy, there's a feeling, a sensation, right? What does chocolate taste like? What does a sunset look like? And I go, why is that relevant? And the answer is this: this body is a virtual reality suit. This body takes energy fields and turns it into a vision. I can see the sunset. This body takes chocolate, but turns that chemistry into a vibration, because look, all the receptors that are bringing information in from the world translate that information into vibration, because the nervous system reads vibration. It doesn't see light. It doesn't taste chocolate. It reads vibration. I go, why is that relevant? This body translates life experiences into vibration, which is my source. So my source has what does chocolate taste like? And the only way I knew what chocolate tastes like is I had to have taste buds. Oh, these are cells. Yeah, but these cells converted the chocolate into a vibration, which my mind picked up as, oh, that's the vibration of chocolate. Okay. So I say, so why is this relevant? This physical body is an extension of my spirituality. My spirituality, I can have a creative thought. I'd like to be in love. I go, what does love feel like? There's a feeling. I say, oh, the feeling came from the chemistry of the body, dopamine going through the nervous system and activating, the joy. And I go, oh, wait a minute. I can have then a concept of love in a spiritual realm, but if I never touched it in a physical realm, I couldn't explain it to you. I couldn't give it to you. What does love feel like? Oh, feeling? Physical machine, translator. So when I said, when the cell said, what does chocolate taste like? It was really saying, the sensations that you have in this body are translated into vibrations, which are broadcast back to the field. So that I am the field, and I ask a question of the system, and the system responds by changing the field. Oh my God, we came here for experience. We came here to touch and smell and feel, and we came here to create. Not only is our robot taking information in, but we're moving it around. So in my story, I refer to the fact that we can't go to Mars. Yeah, okay. I say, yeah, but we would love to know what Mars is like. So I say, what do? We send up the Mariner, the Mars rover. What is that? It's like a go-kart with a lot of stuff all in antennas and stuff all over. And I say, that's the equivalent of a human. You go, that doesn't look like a human. I go, no. But when it travels on the surface of Mars, it's got sensory receptors. It's going to tell you what the air is made out of. It's going to tell you what the temperature is. It's going to show you a picture of what Mars looked like. I say, oh, these are all the sensory devices that we have built into us. We built them mechanically into the Mars rover. So the Mars rover is the equivalent of a human on Mars. And I say, how does it work? And I go, now comes the cool part. It's being driven by somebody. I go, who? The guy at NASA. I say, how does he do that? He sends a signal picked up by the antenna, and that guides the vehicle around. The vehicle has sensory receptors. What does that do? Translates it into a broadcast and sends it back to the guy at NASA. I go, oh. And the guy at NASA isn't just taking in what's coming over the senses. The guy at NASA is driving the vehicle. He says, let's go left, let's go right, let's go over here. So he's moving the vehicle around and getting this information. I go, we are Earthlanders. This body is equivalent of the Mariner. It's on Earth. It's moving around. It's doing things. It's taking in information. Yeah, but where's the control coming from? Not inside. It's a field. It's an energy. It's a broadcast. No two people receive the same broadcast station. Each
Mhm.
of us is receiving a different vibration. And that's what I say. So what makes us different? I say, I know you're different because, Jordan, you cannot put your cells or an organ into another person's body. Because you do, what's the first thing that's going to happen? And the answer is simply this, is that that their body is going to reject your organs. Why? Not self. I go, oh, we each have a self. I go, yeah. And I say, where is that self to be found? I say, the self is a broadcast picked up by antennas called receptors on the surface of your cells. I say, why is it relevant? I say, no two people have the same set of antennas. No two people are receiving the same broadcast. Each one of us is receiving a broadcast like the guy at NASA sending information. I say, then what? I said, then we have life experiences. And guess what? You say, well, my mind had all these experiences. And I go, here's the interesting part. I put wires on your head, electroencephalograph, EEG. I'm reading your brain function. A newer device called not electroencephalograph, magnetoencephalograph, MEG, reads brain function. I say, yeah, but what about it? I say, the probe is out here. I go, what do you mean? The probe doesn't touch you. The probe is reading what? Your mind. Oh, my mind is not contained in my head. My brain is a tuning fork. It's sending the vibrations back to the world. If I put a device out here, MEG, I could read that vibration, not by touching me, but by being over here. And I say, so what does that mean? I say, we're all receiving a broadcast and returning a broadcast. And I say that broadcast that we return, quantum physics acknowledges is the creative force.
Mhm.
We create our lives with a broadcast,
Yeah.
and the broadcast is consciousness.
You actually just, that's amazing because you kind of answered my next question. I was going to ask you what you thought about the Hermetic concept of the mind of God, because there's this, it's a very ancient idea, you're probably very familiar with it, of that, like, everything, the way that the Hermetic teachings explained God, was that God creates through God's mind, and that everything in the universe itself, is a thought in the mind of God. And so we are thoughts, and that made in the image of the creator, that, like, just as our minds and our thoughts gives birth to speech and action, so too does the mind of God, as above, so below, create the universe and create, like, everything that comes into existence, and that we are reflections of that. That's very empowering, actually, just what you described. And I feel like I leveled up just by listening to you.
Well, but here's another one I always like. There's an old classic rock album, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I use the image on it. It's a prism
Yeah.
with white light coming in and a rainbow coming out. Very perfect analogy for what I want to say. You just said the mind of God, and I say that's all information. That's all colors. All colors are white when you put them all together. So I take the white light, push it through the prism, and out the other side comes the rainbow. I split the white light into the different colors, right? And then I would say, each one of us is part of the spectrum of that rainbow. We're not the white light complete. We're a piece of that white light. Each one of us is a color, frequency, our own unique vibrational frequency is ours, whatever color, and I say, well, violet. And I go, yeah, but you can have 1,000 shades of violet. So, it's large numbers. And I say, so why is it relevant? Because there's an ancient story. Oh, when the white light comes back to the planet's going to be saved,
Mm-hmm.
And we always thought, well, who's the white light? It's like somebody, is it Buddha? Is it Jesus? Who could be the white light? And at this time, I would step back and say this. Each one of us is a frequency of that white light. But individually, we are not the white light. Collectively, we are the white light. And I say, well, what if I throw out one of the frequencies? I don't like this person. Let's kill them. Let's get rid of them. You just took a frequency out of the white light. I say, why is it relevant? Because if you put the remaining light back together with that missing frequency, it's not white light. It's not white light anymore. White light means all of the frequencies are working in harmony with each other. Each of us is through our own receptors. They're called self receptors, interesting name, self receivers. through these proteins, each of us is a frequency that is different than everybody else. That's why we can't exchange cells with each other. My cells are different frequency than your cells. You put your cells in my body, my immune system says, different drummer. Can't have different drummer here. Get rid of that one. Okay. So why is this relevant? I said, then what's the future? And the future is, yeah, we need the white light to come back because that's a creative force. And I said, what's the white light? I said, every human working together as a whole living system, integrated, is the white light. We're breaking apart the separations that have kept us separate, which prevents white light from manifesting. And breaking the structure, providing an opportunity to come back together and recognize that we're all part of that white light. If you get rid of somebody, exclude somebody, then by definition, you don't have white light anymore. So it basically says, how do I learn to live in harmony and come together and create the white light? And I go, this is what we've been talking about for the last hour almost is, yeah, what do you do? And I go, first of all, you have to change the program that you're a separate frequency from everybody else. No, you came from the same source. We all came from the same source. And I go, but there are Christians and Muslims and Jews. And I go, they all came from the same source. Those are programs. And the idea is the programs are separation. And the reality is, no, we all came from the same source. When we let go of the programs of separation, unity is the necessary consequence. When humans start to recognize the creative power, then instead of the honeymoon being that little short period after you meet somebody and fall in love and then it fades away, what if the honeymoon was every day for everybody on this planet? All of a sudden you say, well, then heaven, you don't die and go to heaven. Oh my God, heaven was here. You die and you think, I'm going to go to heaven. And then you get to heaven and you say, well, how'd you enjoy heaven? What do you mean? That planet was your creative place, your space to create. You created it. Ooh, we created a bunch of war and COVID and this and that. And I go, oh, that doesn't sound like heaven. And I go, yeah, but those were creations that we put together. Want to change the creation? Then all of us live on a honeymoon. And the moment we all live on a honeymoon, and a honeymoon being heaven on earth, then the reality will manifest. You don't die and go to heaven. You were born into heaven. You came here to create and experience and sense and feel and taste and love. If you fail to recognize why you're here, then you just became a worker. And I say, so why are you here? Well, you missed the point, didn't you?
Yeah.
You're missing the point.
Wow. You know, all I can really say, or at least I feel compelled to say, is I'm really excited to do a sequel video about the honeymoon effect specifically. That'll be really, really fun. And maybe we can collaborate on it.
I would love to, because I like how you, transduced the message into a different form that was, again, opening another vision so people can see it this way or they can see it this way, but they start to see there's a unity in all these visions. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, of course, I have the deepest appreciation for your manifestation, because it's like, wow, that's teaching. You made a teaching video, and that was great.
Thank you. Yeah, and it seems to be like maybe the big picture takeaway. I mean, there's a lot of them really from everything that you've shared, but and just all of your work. But like when creators come together to create, you amplify the signals that you're putting out, right? Like creating in a bigger and bigger way, so that more people can be exposed to that vibration, that new signal, and ideally help them create better beliefs for the wider collective human field.
That is the nature. As I said, I could read your mind vibrations with a pickup device out here. Mm-hmm. I say, why is it relevant? Your brain is a tuning fork. And I say, so why is it relevant? I say, what if we're all tuned to the same, frequency or whatever it is? The amplification of that is so great that manifestation is a necessary consequence. If I just a single guy out there in the street saying, peace, come to earth, it's like, who cares? Nobody cares about my single attitude at all. But if I join with thousands of other people and say that, then there's a broadcast of each of us with our own tuning forks collectively playing the same music. The amplitude is so great that even a person who is not into that idea walks into the field and the music is so great, they pick it up. They can just pick it up. It's called a crowd response. You're in the crowd, you become what the crowd's doing. And if the crowd was doing something positive and you didn't even know it, you got in the crowd, you start doing something positive. And that's our destination, more or less.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh my gosh, Bruce, this has been just like the best hour. You've completely made my week. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to chat with you. I know we've passed our hour here, but if there was anything just sort of in sort of conclusion of this, of everything that you've shared, if you were to put it into, a small bite-sized message packet for people to take away, what would you say? Like a message for the world?
The message that I would say for the world is the most important understanding is the concept of love. Love is a vibration. Love is a harmony. Love is all those wonderful things, peace and beauty, and you could put all those adjectives you want, but love is that frequency. And then I'm going to say the problem in our planet today, and I know this from experience when I work in workshops where we do belief change, one of the first beliefs we test is, I love myself. And it turns out 80 to 90% of the people in every group will not test positive to I love myself. The consequence of that is we talked about the programming in the first 7 years. And I said, most of the programming has been a critical assessment of us. You're not that good. You're not that smart. You're not this. You don't deserve. You're not that lovable. I go, yeah, but if a child's under 7, they're not thinking, they're recording. I say, so what program did I get? I'm not lovable. I'm not deserving. I'm not good enough. And then I say, and since the program is what is being manifest unconsciously, then we have destroyed ourselves in the process. And people don't even know, it's just not working. But because the part we talked about, the behavior is not seen, then that means, oh, I'm a victim of forces. And I go, no, the part you didn't see was you were the manifester of these forces. And so the most important thing I think that we need to come to today is the first thing is get everybody to recognize they are love by undoing the programs of limitation that we got in the first number of years. The critical assessment that is operating. Remember, you're not coming from your conscious mind, wishes, and desires. You're coming from your program. If your program is critical of you, not smart enough, not deserving, whatever, that's your program, that's your manifestation. And then you find out why people have so much trouble on this planet. They don't love themselves. How are they going to get love from anybody else? If you don't love yourself and someone comes up and they say, I love you, and you're going, well, obviously you have no quality control because I know I'm not lovable, and you say you love me, you don't know anything. And then we push them away. They're gone. And then guess what we say to ourselves? See, I'm not lovable. I go, oh, you manifested your program. I'm not lovable. Therefore, no one loves me. And the world where 50% of marriages end divorce and a large percent of the remaining ones, they work together, but it's not the juicy life of a honeymoon. I said, but the juicy life of a honeymoon is a program. And what if everybody rewrote those programs with knowledge instead of, it's not an accident, these are programs. I can rewrite a program. And I say, so why is it relevant? I said, what if we all rewrote the programs to manifest heaven on earth? Then by all definition, earth is heaven at that time. And then when people come here as you're part of your spiritual journey and you end up in one of these bodies, you come into it and say, oh my God, this is where I can create. What do I want to create? And then all of a sudden you become the creator. Right now you come in these bodies, somebody else programs you, tells you what to create. Then you manifest their creation and you look around and go, who the hell made this mess? And it was, we did this, but we didn't know. So the message is finally this. It comes down to A, you're a creator. B, you have been programmed. C, most of those programs have been disempowering. D, you can rewrite those programs. And E, once you understand that, then you create the program of heaven on earth, and that is your manifestation. And from the day you do that to the day you die, it's all there. And then just to close with, just to add a little, tack it on. What makes us different? I have a set of receptors called self-receptors on my cells that you don't have on your cells. My cells, if I put them in your body, are broadcasting a wrong frequency, doesn't fit in. The old story, not two different drummers, got to have everybody drum the same. So the immune system eliminates you, your cells from another person, not self. So the self is the antennas drawing down a program here, okay? And then the relevance is this. Television analogy. Bruce broadcast playing through the television, Bruce, the Bruce show on the Bruce television. Okay, great. But if I die, then my cells with those antennas don't exist anymore. And I go, yeah, but if you're watching a TV and it breaks, you say it's dead. And I go, yeah, is the broadcast still there? Of course it is. How would you know? You get another TV, plug it in, turn it on, and tune it to the right frequency. Picture's back on. So guess what? Right now, you are playing through this television set. If you die, your broadcast is still here. But if an embryo shows up with the same set of self-receptors, you're back, but in a different TV. I go, what do you mean? The body's the TV. I say, you mean it could be male or female? No, that's the TV. That's not who you are. You're the broadcast. You're not the TV. It could be white, brown, black, yellow, red. No, that's the TV. That's not you. You're the broadcast. And when we all understand that, A, reincarnation is an actual reality, gives you a chance to come back here and do it again. And B, then you have to look at everybody else that looks a little different to you and say, I could be them the next time around. Then I better try treating them a little bit better than maybe the way I am treating them, because we're all TV sets playing programs. And to distinguish one TV from another based on the physical thing is like, that's an unfortunate separation, because we're all the source, not the television.
Mm-hmm. Holy smokes. Well, I'm really looking forward to now to everything, that both future podcasts and making some videos together, because I mean, the science of reincarnation, that's a hot issue for a lot of scientists, and I think this would be very good content to stream out into the world. So
yeah, it's really, just to give an example of that, so that there's some reality to this, right? When they started doing a lot of transplants, like heart transplants, obviously the person who donated the heart is dead. Their heart's in somebody else, but their heart cells still have the antennas connected to their source. And guess what? When people get a heart, especially because it's so powerful in the electric field generation, that their behaviors begin to change. And I say, in what way? They start to adopt the behavior of the person who donated the heart.
Whoa.
But they're dead. Yeah. So the last story, because there's a whole bunch of them, there's several books on this of Pearsall, I think Phil Pearsall, Change of Heart, I think is the name of the book. A true story. A young girl received a heart from another young girl. Obviously, the donor of the heart's dead. They put this heart into this girl. And right after she got this heart, she started having these very vivid nightmares. Same story over and over and over again. She was being killed by this person. After a while, the doctors said, well, okay, let's go back and see where did this heart come from, really? Found that this young girl got killed. They didn't find the killer. But guess what? The police interviewed the girl.
Oh my God.
Her description was so accurate that they apprehended the killer.
Holy smokes.
I say, what was the point? The point was that person's identity was still playing through this organ. But this organ generating a big electrical field was very powerful and influenced the electrical field of the entire body. And so what it meant was, well, that person's dead, but they're still broadcasting through those receptors.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? They're not here, but the broadcast is still here. People say that's cellular memory, and I go, there's a limit to what cells can remember. They can remember if they're liver cells or muscle cells, but they can't remember a killer and identify it.
Yeah.
What's the point? That information wasn't in the cells. It was being received by the cells. The identity of that person dead is still connected to the heart that was transplanted into the other girl.
Right. Maybe even through the soul, although that may not be scientifically credible at this point in time, but it certainly sounds resonant.
To me, it is totally relevant. That's exactly what is. Give them a name to that broadcast. Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. Field. Oh, that's scientific. Quantum physics.
There you go. Yeah. No, that's amazing. That is truly an amazing story. That actually, I want to learn more about it now.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for both for coming on the podcast, but also just for everything that you've done. From like your spiritual journey has impacted so many people, and I just find it so important that you've done what you've done and are doing what you're doing, because it's so scientifically relevant as well, right? Like even my work, it's called spirit science, and we have sources on things, but it doesn't get the same level of scientific attention in the world because it's seemed as woo or whatnot. And you are a professional trained scientist who discovered.
I didn't believe in this, Jordan. Yeah. I never believed in this. So it wasn't like I'm just manifesting my belief that I always thought. I had no thought. There was no such thing as spirituality. When I was in my professional thing, I'm a genetic automaton. Hey, accident of genetic assembly. Here I am. I die. Gone. Genetic automaton gone. But once I started getting into the quantum physics, once I saw the experiments on epigenetics, which again is belief controlling biology, it was like, oh my God. And then the beautiful part about it is, so what happened when I finally adopted and made real the understanding of my energy field and creativity is like, I have a different life. I have a completely different life based on what? Knowledge. Where did I get it from? Cells. They taught me.
So cool. It's so cool. Yeah. Bruce, you are amazing. Thank you again. Thank you again so much for coming on the show. This has been really an honor. I've been such a fan for a very long time. And to finally meet you and have this, it's a delight. You've made my week.
Well, you make mine too. So I say the future looks bright for both of us, and there's an opportunity to expand the message.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to creating and co-creating with you.
Me too.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank the audience out there, because they are the cultural creatives that, given a new vision, can manifest a new world. And I hope we have helped them with a vision to make something a little more positive than what we're experiencing right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and just peace and blessings all around.